It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Meloni.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Thanks to everyone for joining me again this early Friday morning. And keep in mind, you can find this show on here every weekday at 8 a.m. on 1250 WHNZ. And this is a show all about business owners, entrepreneurs, and people making a difference in and around the Tampa Bay and regional communities. So I invite you to please make this a station of yours to tune into each and every morning at 8 a.m. and take a break from all the political talk and nonsense that's starting to contaminate our airwaves. I wanted to take a stand against that and do something positive for the community and highlight all the successes of our entrepreneurs and people in the community. So again, 8 a.m. every weekday on 1250 WHNZ. Please tune in. So also, peruse over to tampabayradio.com. And on the site, you can also catch the shows on demand and also see our extensive guest network. And by clicking on their show cards, you can see all of their interviews and get a lot of great information. The show is really starting to take off and just having some fascinating people through the show, including my next guest, Rolfe Arnyhm. Whether it is in business, in family matters, in the religious, charitable, or civic organizations to which you belong, and even among friends, there are people who will push back on your plans, hopes, and dreams and tell you it can't be done. Throughout his career as a military officer, business executive, Vistage chair, and author, Rolfe Arnyhm has heard that refrain too many times to count. In each instance, his reply was, "Oh yes, it can be done, and here's how." Rolfe is an in-demand speaker on matters of leadership, accountability, motivation, execution, and organizational alignment. He is a lifelong Rotarian and currently a member of the Rotary Club of Tampa. Rolfe's book is a memoir of leadership and is entitled "Start Everything, Finish Nothing: The Curse of Modern Management." Rolfe, welcome to the show today.
Good morning, Jamie. Happy to be here, and I have to echo the previous comment. It is Mother's Day, and one of the things we work very hard at with the CEOs that I mentor and coach is work-life balance. And the reality is it gets to be kind of a joke. And too often it's about work, play, work instead of play, work, play. This weekend, pull the work part out of there and put real true balance in there and make it about family and about Mother's Day.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send a shout out to my mother as well, Linda Meloni, a great supporter of mine and someone I love very much. And so I think my mom listens from time to time. So hopefully she gets the message. And of course, I will be sending her a gift as well. I was fortunate to have a very good mother as well as a father in my life and who raised me very well and gave me the opportunities, to excel and succeed in life. So yeah, I always cannot understate the importance of great parenting in our lives. So, and also, thanks to you for extending, that information out as well. You're obviously a very accomplished gentleman. This book here, Start Everything, Finish Nothing, and your website is, for the book, is starteverythingfinishnothing.com. So if people after the interview are interested in the book, visit starteverythingfinishnothing.com to obtain the book. And in the book, you account how you overcoming obstacles, and you share a great story in there about the Army-Navy game. Let's start with that. Tell me the story.
Well, it was in 1981 during the Army-Navy game, and a group of us were watching the game. And I made the comment that West Point and Annapolis and the football teams belong to our country. It's truly America's team, and the game should move around the country. And my wife said it can't be done. And I've reminded her many times over, and I remind people around me, never, never tell me it can't be done. And so I set about meeting with appropriate people, not only in the community, in that particular case, Pasadena, Los Angeles area, but leaders in government and at West Point and the Naval Academy, and put together a proposal to move the game. And I heard from them it can't be done, and which just gave me more juice and more energy. And ultimately, and on the 25th of November of 1983, there was a Army-Navy game in the Rose Bowl.
Now, are you involved in the Rose Bowl? I've heard you mention that coming up. Tell me about your involvement in the Rose Bowl.
When I had the assignment as the CEO of the Pasadena Chamber of Commerce, I became a member of the Tournament of Roses in Pasadena. And I was very active in that capacity for over 20 years. And today I'm a lifelong member of the Tournament of Roses and very proud of it. Still have my white suit and my red tie in my closet.
And I'm certain that you've learned many of your leadership skills from your role as a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. Talk to me a little bit about your experience in the military.
Well, I've served in a number of capacities in the Army since my graduation from West Point, and it was essentially positions in command staff, plans, training, and operations. And each one of those gave me a unique opportunity to work and lead people. And the lessons that I learned through various assignments from various levels, through command of an infantry battalion in Vietnam to a brigade task force defending Cam Ranh Bay, that on a daily basis you had to make decisions. You had to make them quickly, and you had to make certain that your orders were implicitly followed. I've maintained that same discipline that started at West Point through the Army and ultimately in the reserves as a colonel, that you've got to stay focused, you've got to continue to train, but you've got to motivate your people so they do follow you, and that no obstacle is too difficult. Any obstacle should be seen as an opportunity.
Now, I've got your book in front of me again, Start Everything, Finish Nothing, and you got the table of contents organized very nicely here with a lot of different components of what it takes to be a leader. And in chapter 2, you get into it can't be done, a huge talking point of your book. When somebody tells you it can't be done, I mean, give me some tips for dealing with that type of pushback. I mean, do you have to go around them? Do you go through them? I mean, referencing the Army-Navy game, for instance, I mean, how did you get through that pushback? What are some tips to give people, when they are just facing that type of roadblock?
Well, it's interesting they should use that terminology, go through them, go around them, knock them down, whatever it takes. They're not going to get in my way. Obviously, you've got to do that with care, and that's where the term carefrontation comes into place. You can't be a human bulldozer in the business community. You've got to find a way to do that. More often than not, I've found alternative courses of action. But I've also spent a great deal of time understanding that if you can reach key decision makers and you can leverage your relationships, that ultimately there isn't anybody that you can't have access to. So I was able to gain access to the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Army, Secretary of the Navy, the leaders at the 2 academies. At one point, the chairman of the board of United Airlines, when I was putting together a plan to move both the Corps of Cadets and the Brigade of Midshipmen across the country, which meant moving 10,000 people in just a short period of time, that in every case it was a matter of staying focused and telling yourself, yes, I can do this. And as a result of that mantra, that ethos, I got it done.
Now, the book, this was as a result of your involvement. You represent or work with a number of CEOs through Vistage, Florida. This website, we talk a little bit about your role with Vistage, Florida. Learn more about this at vistageflorida.com. Tell me about what Vistage, Florida, and your role in this organization is.
Well, Vistage, Florida is part of Vistage International, some 19,000 executives worldwide, 16 countries. And there are folks like me that chair groups. In my case, I chair 3 of them. So there are about 900 people like myself around the world. And we have groups of CEOs and, in one instance, first line of direct reports. And they meet once a month in a confidential think tank type environment. And the idea is to help that business grow and to help that individual grow professionally, to add additional skill sets. My job, simply put, is to facilitate, to encourage, and to bring these people together on a once-a-month basis where they look very deeply at the decisions that they're trying to make and make certain that they do make a decision, and then I hold them accountable.
And you said, we were talking before the show, that you're working with like 46 different CEOs of companies, correct?
That is correct.
Tell me, it fascinates me, people that get to the role of CEO in some of the companies. What are some of the main drivers and main traits, so to speak, that you see in these men that get them there? Because so often people are like, how did he do that, or how did she do that? What are some of the main traits that people need to have in addition to just, going around and not taking no for an answer?
Well, I think it starts with passion, and it also starts with the idea that they're motivated to reach goals. They're all very goal-oriented. And if they set goals for themselves, then really it's a matter of my staying on top of them, and I do a goals matrix, if you will, for each one of them, and I ask them several questions. What is your personal goal? What is your personal professional goal? What is your goal for 2015? It could be stated in gross sales, it could be stated in net revenue in any number of ways, and then I take it a step further and I ask them, what is your goal for the year 2020? I keep them focused both near and long term. And what's fascinating to me among the CEOs is that those that succeed are the ones that are motivated, that see an end game, and they're driven by those goals. The ones that lose direction, lose their motivation, lose their work ethic, tire, they will fail.
Talk to me about the ability to bounce back from rejection. I study a lot of leaders, and this point comes up all the time, is that people that succeed are the ones who handle rejection the best. Talk to me about this.
Well, I think rejection is something that you almost face on a daily basis. We hear more often than not about salespeople. You know, the joke among salespeople is it takes 10 calls to get one appointment or 3 appointments to get a sale, and they're very fastidious with it, and they get to their 9th call, and somebody tells them, no, I'm not interested in your service or your product, and they say, thank you so very much, because I can hardly wait for my 10th call. And that's true with salespeople. At some level, we're all in sales, whether we like it or not. Yeah. And whether we're selling ourselves to a future spouse, or whether we're selling ourselves to our people, to our customers and clients, every one of us on a day-to-day basis is in sales, and we're going to get rejected. And the reality is that you've got to pick yourself up and go for another day and know that that next person is the opportunity, and they're the ones that are going to say yes.
Yeah, and that's some great information there. And I myself, I don't fear rejection. I embrace it, and I'm used to hearing it. I sell real estate every single day. Also on my radio shows, I try to develop sponsorships, things of that nature, and it just propels me forward. And eventually, when you succeed, it's great to look back on the people that turned you down and are now coming to you, and you want to get yourself into a position where they're eventually coming to you. And it's just a great feeling, and it's something that I don't shy away from. It doesn't bother me one bit to get rejected. I don't disrespect or hold it against anybody for rejecting whatever service or product that I'm trying to offer. But I see that in a lot of successful people, is the ability to accept rejection and move forward with it. And those are the people that I think that's a strong character trait of those who succeed. Now, your book, Start Everything, Finish Nothing, The Curse of Modern Management, was inspired by your working with these number of CEOs, correct? Tell me a little bit more about this inspiration.
Well, where this came from is that as a function of working with CEOs and that first line of direct reports, I used anecdotes more often than not. And it was a good way to make a point, to make it clear, and they could identify with the anecdotes. And they kept pushing my buttons for years. Said, Rolfe, you've got to do a book. You've got to put all of this knowledge into something that will endure and that people will look to as a guidepost to overcome those obstacles that keep them from finishing their daily task. Every one of us gets up at the beginning of the day. We look at our to-do list, and guess what? By the end of the day, those things are not done. People will go home at night and share with their significant other or their spouse when somebody says, tell me about your day, and they say you were busy. That's not good enough. Busy doing what? And so the term or the words start everything, finish nothing sort of popped into my head. But as I listened to the CEOs, and frankly, it took me a couple of years to finally decide to really write this book. It took several years just to come up with a title. But as I listened to their experiences and as I absorbed the challenges that they were facing and I reflected on my own career, every one of the chapters began to evolve. Yeah,
I want to talk a little bit more about some of these chapters and some of the other lessons that can be learned from your book, Start Everything, Finish Nothing. And you can pick up this book from the website, starteverythingfinishnothing.com. We're currently talking with Rolfe Arnyhm, author of the book, Start Everything, Finish Nothing, and we'll be finishing up the interview coming back from the break. And again, you're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Welcome back to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Keep in mind, you can find the show on here weekdays at 8 a.m. on 1250 WHNZ, and also learn more about the show over at TampaBayRadio.com. Currently talk with Rolfe Arnyhm, author of the book Start Everything, Finish Nothing, and you can pick this book up at that website, starteverythingfinishnothing.com. And in the first segment, we're kind of focused on the book and its inspiration from your role with educating and working with some 46 different CEOs of companies. But this book, Start Everything, Finish Nothing, is not just for CEOs. It's for everybody. So explain this to me.
Well, it is for everybody. It can start with the homemaker and that person that begins their day and gets consumed with all the interruptions. And it could be a child, it could be somebody at the door. It could be an email. It could be a text message. It could be the phone. It could be any number of interrupters that besiege us. That person that goes to work on a daily basis in a retail capacity, in a hotel, in a store, in a radio show like yourself, every one of us have things that we want to do on any given day. And at the end of the day, they're not done. And what happened? And that's the question that I ask, and that's the question that I'm trying to answer.
So it's from everybody from the homemaker up to the CEO and everybody in between. So again, start everything, finish nothing. And one of the lessons that you stress in the book, and something that's also I've covered on my show a number of times, is the importance of learning to follow before you can lead. Tell me about this role in business and in life in general.
Well, as we move through life, we are following before we're ready to lead, and there's a good reason for that. When I went to the infantry school at Fort Benning, Georgia, after my commissioning, there was a statue, and it shows a lieutenant, and his right arm is upraised, and in his left hand he has his rifle, and inscribed under it says, "Follow me." That made a huge impact on me, and the lesson that I learned from that is, number one, you'd have to begin to understand how important it is to follow before you're prepared to lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that's a concept that the military drills into people as well. And you rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel, but you wouldn't have gotten there had you not learned the importance of following and listening to the people in command. Am I correct?
Absolutely correct. It's implicit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also stay very involved in the community. Tell me about the ways that you're staying involved in the Tampa Bay region right now.
Well, in addition to Rotary that you mentioned, I'm a member of the CEO Council. I've been on the board at Moffitt Cancer Center. I've been involved at the University of South Florida in the Dean's Circle. But more recently, I decided to go to Leadership Tampa, and I graduated from that 2 years ago. But I decided that I am so passionate about leadership that I needed to find another way to give back, and it was through Leadership Tampa and through the Chamber of Commerce. So I've been a day chair for now 2 years, taking those that are going through that program through a very important and enriching experience, which we have been calling community outreach, to introduce them to all the nonprofit entities within this community. And as a result of that, I challenged them as most recently as 2 nights ago when I said, you came in with the idea that you were going to be of better service to the community and take a position of leadership. Have you, in fact, committed? Did you understand my call to action that I gave them on the 1st of October, that reach out to those various community-based organizations, say, I'm ready to lead, or I'm ready to follow. But in any case, get involved in the community. And I continue to do that through my involvement with Leadership Tampa, and I'm going to do it again next year. And on or about the 1st of October, another 50-plus people are going to hear me issue the same challenge.
That's
Lead
incredible.
or get out of the way.
Lead or get out of the way. That's great. And I see you got a whole chapter. You got this book here, Start Everything, Finish Nothing. This is obviously a well put together book with a lot of great tips, and it's written in a very concise and simple, easy to read presentation here. One of the chapters is on network and relationship building. Talk to me about the importance of that, and obviously something that you developed through Leadership Tampa as well.
What people do not understand is the word networking versus the word relationship building. Networking, people assume they go someplace, they exchange business cards, and then they move on. A relationship says you learn something about that individual the first time out. You find out something about them. If they start to ask you a question, flip it and tell them that you want to hear more about them. Write something on the back of that card, follow up, and build then that relation. Let that networking event evolve into a relationship. Too frequently, people will attend an event, will not introduce themselves to those that are around them or even at the table. They figure they just got 8 or 9 new best friends because they were sitting there. A relationship says you get to know those people, you follow up, and you learn more about them, their business, and how you can help them. Make it about them. That's how the relationship is built. Too frequently, you go home with a pocket full of business cards. You put them on your desk. A week later, you can't remember who that person is, where you met them, or anything about them. That's not how you build a relationship. Yeah,
relationships, I say a lot. I would much rather have a few relationships than a ton of networking associates. And one of the reasons I wanted to start this show is also to build my relationships with people. And every morning I get introduced to 2 or 3 different professionals on a very personal level through the interviews that I do. And it's been a great business builder for myself as well as my community exposure, and something that that I'm also developing for my guest is the monthly networking sessions that I have to kind of hold everybody together. And so people that are listening that want to get involved in the show, please reach out to me, Jamie at TampaBayRadio.com for ways to get involved. Rolfe, we got about a minute left and everything. We'll give you one last chance to plug the book. You can get it over at StartEverythingFinishNothing.com. Where else is it available?
It's available on Amazon.
Okay.
By just using the title of the book, but I encourage people to pick it up because every chapter has a nugget. It's not like so many books or so many themes. There's one message. This book has a nugget, something actionable in every chapter, and I urge people to read it, not just only to improve their lives, but to improve their businesses and to make them more efficient, and candidly to have them more satisfied and take the stress out of your life. So at 4 o'clock, ask yourself, did I finish what I started?
Well, hey, some great information, and we could probably talk about it for an hour for all the different points in this book. Rolfe, thank you very much for coming in this morning. And everybody, that was Rolfe Arnyhm, author of Start Everything, Finish Nothing. Pick up the book at StartEverythingFinishNothing.com. Hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll see you Monday morning at 8 a.m. on That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.